The economy appears to be helping Barack Obama.
The conventional wisdom about women voters is wrong.
Should Newt scoot? I'm Frank Newport, Gallup editor-in-chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters. Well, Susan, we are seeing a definite uptick in consumer confidence. We call it economic confidence. We measure it daily. We do 3-day rolling averages. Over the weekend, we had a minus 13, which is still in minus territory. That, however, by 1 point, is the most positive we have seen since we started tracking it in January of '08. It came after the jobs report, most of it. And we are seeing Barack Obama's job approval rating now at 49% in our 3-day rolling average, which is as high as we've seen it in quite a while for the president. Things seem to be looking better in our data for Barack Obama.
You know, it shows you the power of that unemployment number. It stayed at 8.3%. Some analysts thought it might go up a bit. So it definitely has encouraged the people about how the economy is doing. It also shows the strength of that number in the face of some headwinds, and that would be rising gas prices.
That's right. Now, we look carefully at rising gas prices. Remember, we had some data which said they have to be over $5 before the average American tells us they're really going to affect the person, and they're not there yet. And also, we're just now looking at our most important problem question, which we'll be releasing later this week on Gallup.com. But it shows 7% spontaneously say gas prices are the top problem, and that's up from 1% in February. But still, that's low on a relative basis and lower than, say, in '08 when we had up into 20% mentioning gas prices. So we don't see necessarily so far that gas prices are a huge negative for Barack Obama.
And you see Republicans talking about it, but that's because they don't want to talk about the improving unemployment rate. You also see the White House responding with the president doing more events that are focused on what he calls his own energy policy.
That's right. And our data, by the way, do show that Americans say the president and Congress should do something about gas prices, even though they may not be affecting them. So to make noises that they're trying to reduce them seems to make sense. Obama's overall weekly approval last week was 48%, and that's as high as we've seen it in a long time, and that's 3,500 interviews. So clearly all of our large samples and the tracking shows that Obama's doing better. Now, there was another poll out showing he was down in Washington Post ABC, right?
That's right. Although it was an earlier poll done Wednesday through Saturday of last week, that means that almost all of those interviews were done before you got that good jobs number on Friday.
That's right. And I think that may be what's going on. They seem to think it's gas prices, but we just don't see it in our data. Now, you mentioned women and men. Clearly, 2 articles in the New York Times saying Obama's campaign targeting women.
Targeting women, and also suggesting that the focus on social issues by the Republican presidential candidates has cost Republicans among women and improved President Obama's standing among women. But you know, with this poll, the largest sample of any public poll, you just don't see it. Obama's approval rating among men is improving more than his approval rating among women. And this is a sample of 1,800 women a week.
That's right. Looking at last week's weekly average and the week before, we don't see any kind of women going up and not men. In fact, did you say men are coming up faster in their approval for Obama than women? So at least so far on this one measure, Obama approval, we don't see any signs that he's disproportionately benefiting from support from women.
And you know, it's a lesson for reporters to not jump to conclusions about how you react to something or about how you assume Americans will react, because sometimes it's more complicated than that.
Absolutely. Voting. 2 southern states. My sister was born in Mississippi, to throw that in, but that's one of the 2 states that are voting Tuesday night, and the other during the day Tuesday, results Tuesday night. The other contiguous to Mississippi is Alabama. Southern states, it would be good for Romney were he able to win one of those 2, wouldn't it?
You know, Romney called these away games, and that they're pretty far from Massachusetts and with an electorate that should be very friendly to Rick Santorum. These 2 states, Mississippi and Alabama, are 2 of the 3 most religious states in the country. The 3rd state would be Utah, and that's an electorate that Rick Santorum has done particularly well with. So it'd be great for Rick Santorum if he won those 2 states. It'd be great for Romney if he could show he could win one or the other of them, do well with this electorate, and it may be a do or die situation for Newt Gingrich to win one of these states, who's from Georgia and who has really focused his campaigning in the Deep South.
Now, we've not polled there in those 2 states. The polling I see shows it's actually close, right? Now, Tennessee, people point out, had Romney looking good, and he didn't, rising, but he didn't. Santorum kind of did very well there. So some people are saying in the South, Romney overpolls, so we have to be cautious. But we're going to wait and see what happens. Right. But it could be bad news for Newt Gingrich, as you say, were he to lose both states.
It could be. Really pretty considerable stakes for each of those three candidates with Tuesday's voting.
Rick Santorum, Meet the Press, said Sunday, basically, Newt Gingrich should get out, leaving him and Mitt Romney to face off. We asked Republicans over the weekend, should that happen? Should Gingrich get out? Or should everybody get out but Romney? Or just leave him in until somebody clinches? And we found over half of Republicans said, let them all fight it out until somebody clinches the nomination.
And isn't this interesting? Because it shows that even though the fight's been kind of divisive, the language has been pretty harsh, you've gotten all these negative ads, Republican voters seem happy, a majority of Republican voters seem happy to have this race go on as long as it's going to go.
That's right. And of those who weren't and didn't say they didn't have an answer, they split. About 20% said, yeah, Newt Gingrich should get out, but the other 20% said everybody should get out and leave it to Romney. But again, the majority said, let them fight it out.
And so that means there's not going to be that much pressure, at least at this moment, on the two challengers to get out of the race and leave a clean field for Mitt Romney.
Most fascinating finding of the week, Susan, is right track, wrong track. Of course, we ask it, you satisfied with the way things are going in the U.S.? It's up.
It's up to a level we haven't seen in almost 2 years.
That's right. So it's broken the 20% mark and going up. And that's still pretty miserable. But that's a good sign, again, for an incumbent president seeking re-election, and does correlate with the fact that we're seeing more positive signs of Americans' views of the economy.
It's really the most fundamental question on the political landscape. Do you think you're going in the right direction, so you want to keep going that way? Or are we going in the wrong direction and we need to change course?
Absolutely. So we end up here saying things looking a little better for Barack Obama. We'll see what happens. And of course, next week we'll be talking about the results of Mississippi and Alabama. What's next after that?
Illinois is the next big primary up, and it could be an important one.
Yeah, very good. Big state. I'm Frank Newport,
yes.
Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters.